Hello, today I'm gonna count down my top 15 Nick Drake songs. So Nick Drake was an English singer-songwriter active between 1968 and 1974, but mostly up to 1972 about. Like many geniuses, he was overlooked during his lifetime, and he also suffered from depression. He was quite shy, reluctant to perform in front of live audiences, unfortunately. On the 25th of November, 1974, he was found dead at the age of 26 due to an overdose of antidepressants. I see this as a total tragedy because we may have gotten so much more music from him, and it's just really sad. He definitely went too soon, but I've liked him for a long time, almost 30 years. My first impression of him was when my girlfriend brought home the Time of No Reply compilation from the record store that she was working at, and ever since then I've just been hooked. I always find something new in his music. I chose 15 songs for this, but it could easily have been double that. I also found it quite hard to choose an order, so these are my personal favorites. Maybe they could be swapped around a lot. I don't know. Yours may differ. Some of these I like for particular reasons, whether it's for nostalgia's sake or some other personal reason. I find his music and also his mother's music very Christmassy. That's one reason I'm doing it now, right before Christmas. And I'll release a video on his mother's music next week. If you haven't heard his mother, you are in for a treat. But let's get started. At number 15, we have Come Into the Garden from Family Tree. This is him at his most informal. I really love these lo-fi tracks. I love how far away it sounds. I don't know, there's just something about someone with an instrument in their room with like a cassette recorder. I just love that kind of atmosphere. At number 14, we have Riverman from Five Leaves Left from 1969. This is a lush arrangement. It's quite melancholy. I think it highlights his signature vocal style and guitar playing. It's very, very somber, like a lot of his music. In fact, maybe all of his music. I love the strings here. On Five Leaves Left, producer Joe Boyd enlisted contacts from the London folk rock scene. Fairport Convention's Richard Thompson and Pentangle's Danny Thompson both played on this. And according to legend, the initial recordings did not go very well. The sessions were chaotic and rushed. It was borrowed studio time. I'm a big fan of both Fairport Convention and Pentangle. I'll put a link for a Psych Folk list above with Pentangle and Fairport Convention on it. But fun fact, Joe Boyd also produced REM's Fables of the Reconstruction. So if you listen to these two albums side by side, you'll definitely hear a similarity. At number 13, we have Northern Sky from Brighter Later from 1971. This is from Drake's second album. It was a commercial failure, unfortunately, and the reviews were mixed. Melody Maker described the album as an awkward mix of folk and cocktail jazz. I don't know. I think they're a little harsh maybe on it, and maybe they just didn't get it. I mean, it does have a little sprinkle of jazz in there. I think it sounds very Indian summer or fall to me. I also think putting a little bit of jazz in there after his first album is pretty ballsy, so I give him some props for that. But the main thing with this album, and this song in particular, is it really calms me when I hear it. There's something very calming about him in general, but specifically this album. At number 12, we have All My Trials with Gabrielle Drake from Family Tree. So this is with his sister, a duet. She has a very good voice as well. It is haunting. I think it's interesting to listen to these home recordings because you get a different picture of him. I mean, they were a very talented family. The son, daughter, and mother all sang and were musicians, so it's pretty great. But I love how intimate this is. Sounds like they're sitting on a couch or something in a living room and they're just kind of playing around. And I think the way their voices blend is really, really sublime. Number 11, we have One of These Things First from Brighter Later from 1971. This has rich instrumentation on it. I love the drums. Like Northern Sky, this makes me feel very calm when I hear it. This album almost sounds like Vince Guaraldi produced it. There's something very Peanuts about it. If you know, you know. But yeah, I love it for that reason, I think. It's a little bit whimsical. At number 10, we have Things Behind the Sun from Pink Moon from 1972. This is from his minimalistic final studio album. It highlights the stark, intimate arrangements. It also emphasizes his fragility and introspection at that time. It's actually hard for me to listen to this album because it sounds to me like he's hanging from a thread. John Wood, the producer engineer, said this: he was very determined to make this very stark, bare record. He definitely wanted it to be him more than anything. And I think in some ways Pink Moon is probably more like Nick is than the other two records. But it sold fewer copies than its predecessors, and he fell into a deep depression. He was very disheartened, and he partially retired from music. He went back to live with his parents. During this time, he toyed with different careers. He even considered the army at one point, but it's pretty sad. His 3 albums in total at the time sold fewer than 4,000 copies. I just don't understand it. In my mind, I just think that they're masterpieces, all for different reasons, but it's just weird that nobody caught on till much, much, much later. Despite all these problems, he tried to start a 4th album in 1973, but this never materialized. If he hadn't died, maybe it would have happened eventually. At number 9, we have Time of No Reply from the John Peel session from 2014 and recorded in 1969. I love the rawness of this version. I also love the lyrics. It shows the passage of time perfectly, I think. It also illustrates very well what it's like to get ghosted. The John Peel session happened because they were trying to promote 5 Leaves Left. But what I think is unique about this one is that without the chamber strings, you get to hear him unaccompanied. And I just think the song is a little bit stronger that way. At number 8, we have Magic, Orchestrated version 2, Made to Love Magic from 2004 and recorded in 1969. This was originally recorded for the 5 Leaves Left sessions, but did not appear on the final album. But the strings here are so lush. This almost sounds like it could be in a musical, like a sadder version of The Sound of Music or something. I connect a lot with the lyrics here, and I think we all feel like he feels here at times, especially Dreamers. I also think this song is a bit of an FU to his detractors, which I kind of appreciate. At number 7, At the Chime of a City Clock from Brighter Later, 1971. This is urban melancholy, quite jazzy, feels like walking through a city at night, definitely creates an atmosphere. I think the strings are used well in this one. It's just a little touch, but spot on. The saxophone is also perfect, and you don't hear much saxophone in his work, but it definitely works here. I think this has a dreamlike, contemplative quality, like you're wandering around the city at night trying to figure out what the hell's going on with your life. At number 6, we have Time Has Told Me from 5 Leaves Left from 1969. 5 Leaves Left is definitely his most pastoral record. You can really hear the Fairport convention on this one. It's bittersweet. The arrangement is sparse but textured. There are subtle variations in the picking patterns, and I think these are very brilliant. At number 5, we have Fruit Tree from 5 Leaves Left, 1969. These lyrics carry a prophetic quality regarding his struggle with fame, I think. It adds some poignancy to his life, or his fate, I should say. I find this to be very, very sad. It's quite heartbreaking knowing that he never got what he wanted. The woodwinds that come in at a minute 20 are just amazing in my opinion. And yeah, I think this one is quite sad. At number 4, we have Fly from Brighter Later, 1971. This is filled with yearning and longing. His voice is perfect here. It's almost breaking. He sings a little higher, which he doesn't do often, but I think it really works. I love the harpsichord in the background. There's also this really great descending guitar pattern. And again, like most of his work, I find this very, very sad. That's part of the reason why I'm releasing this now, is because I think a lot of people struggle with this kind of feeling near the holidays. And maybe, you know, seeing what he went through might make you look at everything a little bit differently, perhaps. At number 3, we have Pink Moon from 1972. This is the title track off his third and final studio album, and it's probably his biggest hit. It's been in commercials and stuff. It's stripped down, minimalistic. It's very, very sparse, I think. And again, he sounds like he's about to crack. It definitely sets a vibe, and it has an atmosphere that draws you in. I really, really like when the piano finally comes in at a minute 2. It's just really, really awesome. At number 2, we have Way to Blue from 5 Leaves Left, 1969. This song is a masterpiece. I love its Baroque feeling. It feels a little like the Beatles' Eleanor Rigby, but it's expansive, sorrowful. If you've ever had your heart broken, this song is definitely for you. I think the lyrics are very special. He was such a talent, not just the lyrics, but his guitar playing and his singing. I mean, he was definitely a talent, and you can certainly see it here. And at number 1, Day Is Done, 5 Leaves Left, 1969. This is one of Drake's earliest songs, and it is certainly my favorite. I really, really love it. I've loved it for a long time. It's about mortality and loss, almost predicting his death to some degree. In the early morning of the 25th of November in 1974, after visiting a friend and briefly going to the kitchen, Nick Drake returned to his bedroom where he is believed to have died from an overdose of antidepressants. There was no note, although a letter addressed to a friend was found close to his bed. He took his own life. As a creative myself, I can see his frustrations. I mean, I think this is one thing that creative people all need, and that is the time to do what they're good at. They want to make an impression on the world, but I think he had a lot of pressure to succeed because of the record company, and in the end, it was too much. It's sad, really, but he did leave some phenomenal work, and I think this song is the pinnacle of this work, in my opinion. It's probably his most poetic song, which is saying a lot, but it is very akin to Robert Frost. It's just perfect in every way. You can put your favorites down below, or you can also give me an order of what you think, but that's all I got. Take care. Have a good day.